So I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about the ideas of contextual scenes, some future trends and resources in AAC and treatment. So this, I provided this set of slides for you, but one place to go that is a great resource for all kinds of AAC information is the blog Practical AAC. This blog does updates very frequently, and there are a few blogs that I've actually done as a guest writer regarding aphasia, but there are many other aphasia-related AAC, practical AAC blogs as well. So this is a really good place to go as you're starting to think about the needs of individuals that have aphasia and are going to need AAC. I want to start by talking about contextual scenes and the idea of how we can try to make the symbols that we are using with people with aphasia, the dependence or the complexity of those as simple as possible. If we think about the idea of aphasia, we started out saying that it was a difficulty using symbolic language. And so even when we provide a symbol on an AAC device, we're tapping into an area that is not a strength for individuals with aphasia. So we want to try to create an idea of something that doesn't rely as heavily on symbols to communicate what it is the person is trying to say. And so when I first began working in the area of contextual scenes with Dr. Buchelman and the team, I kind of felt like this guy in this picture right here is how do you create a communication system that is not using symbols? That's a pretty difficult thing to do, right? So there was a team of people who have worked on this throughout the course of its evolution, starting in the early 2000s and continuing today. And contextual scenes are discussed in a variety of populations. Contextual scenes in autism, contextual scenes in people with intellectual disabilities, etc. But I was part of a team of people who started to look at contextual scene use in people with aphasia. So if we think about grids, grid displays on AAC systems, grids isolate items into individual units. They demarcate from one another. There's not a blending, and they're decontextualized. The symbols are not presented within their context. So this is an example of a grid, right? So we have this idea of a car, something about a car, something about a couple, perhaps, something about a restaurant, something about ordering, and something about food. But these things all relate together, right? And so what the grid does is to put everything, we call language in a box. It puts everything in a box. But often stories are actually the interweaving of the elements together. So if I were this was actually created to tell a story about this person with aphasia going to Taco Bell with their husband, Eldon, and that she ordered a taco salad. Well, you might get that from this, but you might not. You might think she ordered a taco and a salad, or you might think that she got married at Taco Bell and they had tacos and salad. I mean, there isn't a lot of context here to help you to tell this story. So contextually rich images, also sometimes previously called visual scenes, don't require very many inferences by the person with aphasia or their communication partner. That means that the number of verbalizations that need to be produced might be reduced because the picture tells a lot of the story. Visual scenes are not portraits. They're not pictures of people standing against the wall, like all the people who went to the family reunion standing against the wall. That's not really a contextual scene. That's a personalized picture because it's my family, but we're not engaged in any kind of activity. So if I was going to take a picture to represent family reunion that was a true contextual scene, I would try to get candids, right, where some people are talking together and some people are playing cards and a group over here is playing horseshoes. so that there is a variety of elements and the people are engaged in the activities that they were engaged in during the event rather than lining them all up. So that's kind of the difference between a portrait and a contextual scene. A contextual scene has a holistic framework. It conveys the gist of a situation, and it can provide then supports for conversational exchanges. So here's kind of the difference. Here I have, right, a picture. That's a real picture. That's not a contextual scene. Down below here, I actually have a contextual scene. I have people, I have objects, and I have people interacting with each other and with objects. And so that's really what a contextual scene contains. It maximizes the use of visual memory skills, and it requires recognition versus recall in terms of what is communicated. So we can do this both low or high tech, use these scenes with people. I've created some visual scene templates. They use Microsoft Publisher. They're available from the website here, and here's an example. And if you wanted to use this, this is a little story. It has text boxes. It has a question for the individual with aphasia so that they could ask their partner a question. And there are also some partner instructions on this page. So what you would do is you would take this template, you could right click on this picture and replace the picture with the picture from the person that you're seeing with aphasia. You could choose to write a little 4-element story, enter your own question, put in your own partner strategies, just type them in the text boxes, and you'd be ready to print and go. So we have these available in full-size page, in index card size, and in half-page size to fit a variety of different kinds of possible communication books. So these are available free of charge from the website. If you have Microsoft Publisher on your machine, which if you have a PC computer, you probably do. If you have a Mac, then you're going to have to find a PC because these are only available through Microsoft Publisher. So these are the contextual scenes templates again. I guess I have that in there twice. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about some new ideas that I've been thinking about in terms of how to put communication books together for people with aphasia. So I kind of started out with books like this. This is index card size. This is actually a communication book I put together for myself. I put this together where pictures are actually how the person navigates. So if they want to go to the section on their family, there's a picture of their family. This is the All About Me page, right? So here's me at my computer. Down here, this is vacations, and this is a picture of New York City. If it's things that happen at my work, then here's the section on my work, and it's a picture. So using pictures to be the actual navigation may help people who are having a difficult time finding information in their communication books, and that's pretty common in people with aphasia. Next, I've also been working with people using some of these little daily planners. You can usually get them at the dollar store or sometimes Target or other kinds of stores like that will have these at the beginning of the year or at the end of the previous year, and they're little pocket calendars. And so these can be carried in a pocket on a shirt very easily or thrown in a purse very easily. And what I do is I take this calendar and I adapt it a bit. And instead of everything being organized by tab or navigating by tab, this is more organization episodically. So I have marked this section as the me section, and I would fill this in, right? If I did not have aphasia, I would fill this in with just, my information. But I have added some additional information, and these are actually just labels for shipping labels. And the reason that I use shipping labels is so that any of the information that goes into this book can be reprinted, fixed, changed at any time, and you can just put a new label in. So if something here changes, instead of scratching out, you can just put a label over the top of it and you're ready to go. It's all changed out. If the person loses the book or the book gets washed, like happened to me one time, it's very easy to replace because you've got all the information on the mailing labels and you just put them back in a new book. When the new year comes around and it's time for a communication book because you've used the book throughout the year, you can simply just reprint the labels, and that's a good time to refresh. Is everything here good? Are there things from your old book that need to go into your new book that we need to try to replicate or recreate? So here's an example of a partner instructions. It talks about what aphasia is. It talks about some basic biographical information about me. And then I've included some maps because people with aphasia often can do well using maps. And so I've included a little map in this communication book of the town where I live. If the person does not have a lot of writing skills because they have aphasia, so they probably are having a difficult time writing, some of them can write some fragments of words that they recognize and can use to communicate. Others of them don't. For those who can't, I've used mailing labels here, and I've used pictures, and I've listed things that the person would do a lot. They would talk to Tom, they would garden, and they would watch TV. And so the person can go through each day and check off, what is it that I did today? So someone said, so what have you been up to? I can open up the book and say, oh, it looks like you've been doing a lot of gardening. You've got gardening checked every day, right? So this is a way of organizing by episode. And then if we had our partners trained, they could add information about specific events that happened to the person with aphasia if the person couldn't do writing on their own. This is another example. In this case, we're helping the individual with aphasia to track their medication. So they put a check mark down for each medication that they took. These are actual pictures of their pills. And this was a person who actually had some writing skills. So they could write some fragments. And so we just structured them around each day, recording in their book where they went, what they did, and who they talked to, as a way of kind of giving them a structure. It allowed them to help practice their writing skills. It then could also serve as a communication support, again, for those questions, what have you been up to? Or if they've written down something they've done that they want to talk about, they can go find that in their book and use that as a support to communicate. So those are some things that I've been thinking about lately, and I hope that they might be useful to you as you engage in your externship and perhaps your clinical practice with people with aphasia.